What up, y'all? This is Coach Nat. Welcome to How to Manage Your Time So You're Not Always Busy as Fuck. Because a lot of us manage our time like we just have an endless amount of it. So let's get going. Most people do not have a fitness and nutrition problem. They actually have an adulting problem. I define adulting by how well you manage three currencies: time, money, and attention. Because if you think that through, you realize that you spend money, you spend time, you pay attention. Three currencies. So which one of these do you think you have the most of? The most time, the most money, or attention? You're not going to agree at first, but you actually have the most money. I know it doesn't always feel that way. Which one of these do you think you actually have the least of? You're probably thinking time, and it's actually attention. I rank them like this. I think you have the most money of all three and the least attention of all three. I know that it doesn't quite feel that way, but just hear me out on this one, okay? I coach my clients on fitness and nutrition. That's how this whole thing started. But in reality, the more we dug in, the more I realized it's adulting that's kicking their ass and it's showing up in their self-care. So this is what I usually see. People don't prioritize and have their attention spread way too thin. So it ends up costing them more time by having to work more or just simply procrastination. This triggers stress, which then leads them to wasting money on ways to cope with that stress. That looks like overspending on Grubhub, Amazon, wasting time on entertainment subscriptions, Netflix, weed, alcohol, partying, all ways to cope with that stress. And that's why you may feel like the problem is the lack of money, right? That's why you think you have the least money of all three. But really, it's mismanaging your attention, which then leads to mismanaging your time, which then leads to you wasting money on dumb shit. So TLDR, pay all of your attention on your priorities. And in order for you to do that, you need clarity. If you ever feel like you just don't have enough time to get all your shit done, that is a sure sign that it really means you don't have enough clarity on what your top priorities are. I'm going to say that again because it's important. If you ever feel like you don't have enough time, it really means you don't have enough clarity on what your top priorities are and what your attention should be going to. So step one, get clarity. What the fuck are your priorities? What are your goals? What's something that you're focusing all your attention towards? We're not going to dive into that a whole lot today because today I'm going to give you actual tactical skills to help you manage your time once you get clear on what the fuck you need to be paying attention to. But I will say this. Let's pretend that your goal is this tree trunk, right? You're like, okay, I have this goal. This tree has roots, okay? And most trees, their goal is to get really tall. These roots are essentially your time, your money, your attention, your resources to help make this goal happen. And if you apply those in one direction towards that one goal, that tree starts to get tall. But what happens often is you're like, oh, while I'm in momentum, I also want to increase my credit and start dating and fix this and move and all these other fucking goals. And all that time, money, and attention, instead of just going towards one goal, starts to get dispersed into different little branches. And instead of growing to be this big, tall, awesome tree, you end up a bush. Now, the first thing I want to get into is there's two types of times. There's manager time and there's maker time. Manager time has this whole like get shit done vibe. Like I got all this shit to do, I just need to get shit done. That's kind of the vibe around manager time. And that looks like having a bunch of little things that you got to get done. These little things are just little things, are annoying. They can take 10, 30 minutes. And it's just this long list of little shit that you got to just get done. Maker time is more like make shit happen vibes. Okay, this looks like 1 to 2 big things that you have to sit there and like concentrate. It's gonna take you a few hours. It's gonna take you maybe a couple days, but these are only 1 or 2 things that really require all your time and all your attention to really dial in on this one thing to make things happen. Now you're gonna wear both hats, okay? The question is which hat and when. So let's say, for example, you're a CEO or you're in a role where you're kind of like the visionary, the head of things. You're probably going to manage your calendar by trying to spend 4 days in maker energy and then 1 day in manager hat. So for me, that may look like I'm spending most of my time on marketing. That's where most of my time goes, making content, that kind of thing. But I'm still like, I still have meetings. I still have to run payroll. I still have to like do things like that. So most of my days are spent in maker time, and I have 1 day where I spend doing manager stuff. Okay. So this looks like just one big block where I only focus on 1 or 2 things. And this day looks like a bunch of meetings just back to back. Little meetings I got to get done, little tasks I got to get done, running reports, payroll, those kinds of things. If you're more of like a COO or like anything where you're like a manager or like operator type of energy, most of your days are not going to be spent in maker time. They're going to be spent in manager time. And one of your days is going to be spent on maker time. Maybe that's the day you make your schedule or you restock things in the office or in the house, those kinds of things. So it's really important for you to identify which hat do you wear primarily and when do you wear the different types of hats. And if you can create your schedule around those, it's going to make you less fatigued because you're not going to be switching hats on and off, because that's really what gets to a lot of people. It's not nowadays that we're doing all heavy physical labor work. It's that it's intellectual work, and switching hats on and off throughout the day is what wears us out. So here's 6 tips and a bonus. Number 1, constantly shave your calendar. You're constantly looking at it. You're constantly looking at ways to improve it. I want you to look at that and look at what things on there can you remove. Like, do you really need to have that meeting? Do you really need to do that week? What things can you postpone, right? If you have something that's urgent this week, can you postpone that to a later day, later in the week, or maybe next week? Can you make things short? Like, is this a meeting that should really be an hour, or can you make that be 30 minutes? Okay. I will say that one thing that helps make meetings shorter is having an agenda. If it's a reoccurring meeting, especially, or even if it's not a reoccurring meeting, just being like, hey, we're here to meet to solve this problem. Here's the facts. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go. Having an agenda instead of just like, oh, okay, like what we're going to talk about. That's I'm going to spend 10 minutes just talking about bullshit. Okay. Say no. Say no a lot. It's okay to say no. Right? It's okay to be like, when someone tries to spring up a meeting on you last minute, it's okay to be like, hey, I can help you this time, but next time, like you can't do this. I need a heads up. Or hey, no, I'm not able to do that right now, but I can see you next week. Okay. And also like you when it comes to personal things, you do not need to go to like your best friend's cousin's co-worker's fucking baby shower. Right? I know it's harder to say no to family stuff. I get it. I have 9 siblings. There's always family things going on. But it's also important for you to recognize when you're at capacity. Okay. And lastly, I just added this on here, but a lot of y'all's emails and text messages are always constantly blowing up. Unsubscribe, stop messaging text message, because all that just interrupts your flow, interrupts like you being in momentum of getting shit done. Okay, that was tip 1. And actually, this is tip 0. Have a calendar, use one, because when you just try to keep track of everything in your brain, that's when you start to forget things. That's when you start to run late. Like in your head doesn't work. You need to put it down on a calendar. And I know you probably have a work calendar and you probably tried to have a personal one separate. I tried it. Guess what? It doesn't work. If you constantly look at your work calendar, just put all your personal shit on that calendar. It's not a big deal, especially if you're actually going to use the calendar. Number 2, try to minimize the access. Not every meeting needs to be in person. This requires commute, this requires gas, more time. If you can turn a meeting into a Zoom meeting, awesome. If you turn that Zoom meeting into a phone call, because sometimes just being on Zoom meetings back to back to back can be fatiguing as well. If you can turn that into a phone call, even better. And if you can turn that phone call meeting into just an email or a screen recording, I use Loom to be like, hey, here's the thing, blah, 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 blah. What do you think? Like, I've eliminated a lot of meetings just simply by writing a good email or sending a screen recording with whatever the situation is we're trying to handle. Okay. Number 3, automate. Use calendar links. I know sometimes at work we may have like, okay, here's my availability, here's the link, go ahead and schedule it. I know it sounds corny, but do this for your personal life too, right? Think about it with your friends when you're trying to get together. Oh, are you free on this day? Are you free on this day? You go back and forth, back and forth, back. Just create one for your personal life and just be like, hey, you want to hang out? Here's when I'm free. They're going to give you a little shut about it. Like, okay, I have a fucking calendar for when you want to hang out. Yeah, bro, it's just going to be easier for you and me. So, like, why not? Okay. Save and subscribe. So things like toilet paper, protein powder, water, like things that you constantly are restocking, just have them magically show up at your door. Meal delivery, right? You have the power nowadays to just reschedule your groceries. It's a reoccurring thing that you have to do. Automate it. Household chores. So like one of the things that I do is I let some of my chores like kind of stack up. So like if I need to go get my tires changed or an oil change, or I need to go to the dry cleaner, or things like that, I usually just let them stack. And I use a website called TaskRabbit, and I hire somebody to come on a Saturday and go do all these chores for me. That saves me not just time, but just energy where I can just rest. I really don't want to go to Jiffy Lube on a Saturday morning. Sorry, I don't. Even things like driving, like I love you, but I don't need to go to LAX to pick you up from the airport. Lyft, I'll pay for it gladly. I'd rather do that than like go sit in traffic. All right. Or even things like concierge, like what I mean by concierge is, for example, the other day I had to go drop off something downtown. It's not that far, it's not that big of a deal, but it is going to take a good 30 to 45 minutes out of my day, and it is going to take me out of flow. So I went on Uber. They have a concierge service. I just put the packet in the Uber, sent the Uber off, done. So there is ways to leverage and automate things in your life to save you time and energy more than anything. Number 4, stack. Okay. Can you put things and stack them together? Like, for example, if you're on meetings, if you have a walking pad, you can be hitting your step goal as you're in meetings. Sometimes I'll go on a walk where it's like a nice, safe environment, and I'll be answering emails, I'll be answering DMs. Laundry, I constantly have dishwashers or laundry going in the background while I'm getting my work done. So what are some ways that you can stack some of the things that gotta happen so that you can do twice as much in the same amount of time? Number 5, this is probably my favorite. Consolidate your meetings and book them from the bottom up. Okay, this is typically what my day looks like most of the time. I get up, I do self-care, I have maker time. I work on the 1 or 2 things that are big pieces that I got to get done first thing in the morning or after my self-care. I take a break, do a little lunch, and I try to squeeze in as much maker time because of my current hat I'm wearing by scheduling manager time on the bottom. Okay, then I have dinner, then I go to sleep. So let me show you what that actually looks like. Every Tuesday, I have a group call. Boom. And then right above that, I have a class that I teach. So I purposely put this group call right close to this class because I'm already in manager hat. Okay. I had this master class I had to go to. So I booked the time that was where I'm already in manager hat. And then I have a call right here. Okay. What I noticed that I didn't offer them a time over here. I have time slots all day, but I offered them this one because it's closer. Like, this is going to require me to wear a manager hat, and I'm already wearing a manager hat, so I'm going to schedule it clunked into that part of my day. I don't want to offer them just a random time here where I'm going to be in my maker state energy, and then I'm going to have to stop, put on my maker hat, and then try to go back to put on my manager hat and then go back to my maker hat. Okay? Because I'm just trying to have as much time in flow as possible. Number 6, organize. Okay, y'all's digital space is a fucking hot mess. All right, I'm gonna go off screen so I can show you here. So the first thing is Chrome tabs. These are Chrome tabs up here. Okay, so what I do is I just stack them. So because I spend a lot of time like looking at spreadsheets, so I don't want to go into Google every single time and Gmail and then go into spreadsheets, and like I just want to have quick access to things. So like, okay, like my goals, it's right here. Okay, my calendar, here's a calendar. Okay, like here's where I do all my editing and the Facebook ads, and like if you have kids, right? Their schedule, their coaches information, whatever, like you can just put that all in one tab right here. You just double click on that, add folder, name it whatever you want, right there. Okay. And to add a website to it, you just click this little star right here, name it, tell it what folder you want it on. Easy. Next up, keyboard shortcuts. There's certain things that I'm always constantly writing. So like people are always asking me, what's the Zoom for the workout room? Boom. Oh, where do I email for whatever? Boom. How do I cancel the class? Call the gym number. I don't know it off the top of my head. It's right there. Okay. So like these little shortcuts, you can create them by going to settings, keyboard, task replacements, add it. Anytime I type in 456, send them to this website. And then anytime you type in 456, there's a website. Okay. Talk to text. I am not a good typer. Okay. I will type something and I will have to spend time going back and retyping it, fixing my spelling errors. Okay, I do a lot of talk to text on my phone, but I recently discovered, or I forgot, that you could do this on your computer as well. This also saves my wrist from carpal tunnel and crampy hands and things like that. I use this function and it saves me so much time having to not go back and fix all my typos. Period. It's not perfect, but it's definitely this that way better than I would normally, and I didn't have to use my hands and type, like not have carpal tunnel. All right, email templates. So in your Gmail, you have this little tab right here, template. So if you're constantly sending a similar type of email, just create a template for it and save it and not have to type that whole email. It saves you so much time. And also, while we're on email signatures. In here, you can include your office hours. You can include links to your calendar. You can include customer service information, things that you're constantly being asked for. Just put them in your email signature and just be like, check the signature on the bottom. Bye. All right, time for the bonus. I want to talk about weekends. I want you to realize that you have 104 Saturdays and Sundays a year. That is not including 3-day weekends. That's a lot of time that we just kind of blow off. That's a lot of time that you could be using to resting, to having a little fun, to working towards your goals, towards getting ahead or catching up. Weekends is a really powerful time that always, in my opinion, gets underutilized. So I just want you to be aware that you have that just so that you don't blow it off. Be intentional about your weekends. I know you're tired from the week, but don't go into the weekend just like, oh, I'm just gonna, I don't know, see what I get to. Like, no. If you're tired, be intentional about your rest. If you're stressed, be intentional about having fun. If you're in work season right now, like be intentional to use that time productively. Next, I want to talk about 5 to 9 versus 9 to 5 versus 5 to 9. 9 to 5 is your job, but that 5 to 9 in the AM, that 5 to 9 in the evening, these are great times for you to work on your goals, for you to rest. But again, we tend to just veg out through this and wake up right before we have to go to work. We come back tired from work and then we veg out the evening. This is going to happen anyway. But you have 4 hours before that. You have 4 hours in the evening. Use that to rest, to get ahead, to have a little fun, because it's not just about fucking work all the time. I'm going to give you an extra bonus. Speed is king. We spend a lot of time learning cool shit and then waiting forever to implement it. Procrastination fucking ruins shit. So if you found something in this training that was helpful, don't just be like, oh, that was cool, I will do that next time. Like, bust out your calendar right now, make the adjustments real quick. Boom, while it's fresh, it's going to help you get going a lot faster, right? If you find something good, implement it right away. Stop procrastinating. And again, Reminder, you do not have a fitness and nutrition problem. You have an adulting problem. Okay? And that's how well you manage your time, your money, and your attention. And I hope today helped you do that just a little bit better. The end.